when we found out that basically the entire art style for Marathon was stolen, I don't think that anyone was particularly shocked, given Bungie has a history of plagiarism, and now we're finding out that apparently it is chaos within the studio. They're delaying certain things like betas, they're canceling marketing campaigns, they're probably going to delay this game into 2026, if not cancel it outright. And we're also seeing their recent stream that they, for some reason, decided to go ahead with was getting absolutely wrecked by gamers spamming, "You guys are plagiarists." I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I was not shocked when we found out that Bungie had basically stolen one specific artist's work in order to create the aesthetics for Marathon. I personally thought that some of it looked okay, but the general theme just seemed really bland. Like they didn't put a lot of work into it. And maybe it's just because these artists that they hired, I don't even want to call them artists, were so bad at their job that they could not create anything themselves. So instead of, trying their very best to come up with a cohesive art style and something that was just really, really rich in color and pattern, they went for the weakest designs possible and then slapped somebody else's work on top of it to try to give it a little bit of life. Terrible situation all around, and I am glad to hear that Bungie has reached out to them and they're trying to come to an agreement, but this should have never happened in the first place. You have over 800 employees at this studio. What are their art designers doing except for stealing? Can they even create a certain pattern in a game? Can they come up with a theme themselves? It doesn't really look like it. It seems like all they're really doing in the studio was twiddling their thumbs and now complaining because the Bungie morale is apparently at an all-time low. So this is a Forbes article. It says chaos has engulfed Bungie after an artist, Anti-Real, came forward to accuse Bungie of ripping off her 2017 work as its upcoming extraction shooter Marathon was starting to take shape as early as 2018. Bungie admitted to the plagiarism, supposedly the work of one ex-artist, and promised to make things right, but I am pressing X to doubt because there were a slew of people that worked at Bungie following this artist. So they clearly knew who this person was. But second of all, okay, the franchise art director is following this person and they are still employed at Bungie. It's just not adding up that, oh, it was just an ex-artist who happened to take this. Okay, you can say what you want, but we can see through your BS. But all of this is happening after another not great time period for Marathon in the last few weeks, starting with the gameplay revealed, which of course was brutally ratioed, and then its closed alpha, both of which received mostly mixed to negative feedback. The closed alpha did not go well. They had less than 7,000 players, and I know it was closed and they were only inviting certain people, but Arc Raiders had a closed alpha as well at the same time, and they had nearly 30,000 people in their game. So there's two very different pictures being painted here, but the closed alpha had a lot of criticism levied towards it with things like aim assist. A lot of the maps apparently just were not that good. It feels like a game that they've been developing for a year and not since 2018, which is crazy. Paul Tassi says, though, I've spoken to some current and former employees about Bungie's excuses for the art theft, studio morale, and the possibility of a delay. I think that this game will certainly be delayed into 2026, if not canceled straight up. I think that they are going to have to pay this artist a hell of a lot of money, and they're also going to have to do some major redesigns. And if this artist doesn't actually come to an agreement, which they're saying that they're going to, if that doesn't happen, though, they're going to have to pay a lot of money to this individual. It says, though, the public explanation for the art theft one ex-employee taking things in 2020 is the same one being given internally at Bungie among the rank and file. Sony and Bungie legal are now sorting through this, and there is unlikely to be any much new information as all of this continues to unfold. It's not clear how long an audit will take of the assets to remove or find any more plagiarism, as it's an expansive enough process process to have Bungie not even show any footage at all in its recent live stream. Morale is in free fall across all departments, and the vibes have never been worse. Everyone has the same concerns about what happens to Bungie as a studio if Marathon bombs, which is something they absolutely cannot afford. I think that Bungie will basically be pushed off to a secondary studio. Right now, Bungie is a pillar for Sony. I don't think that that would be the case anymore, and I think it would be several years until we actually saw something else out of them. I think it would probably be a new IP, and a much smaller team with a much smaller budget would end up creating it, because I just don't see Sony giving them a lot of money towards another big product anytime soon if this comes out and it fails. Now, even before the plagiarism was admitted to, this game was not in a good state. It had a lot of problems, it faced a lot of criticism, and it looked like it was going to come out and be a failure. So this, on top of all of the issues they were already facing, is not a good look. But they actually decided to do an event. This was already planned. It's not like they just decided to randomly do it. It had been planned for a while, and it was supposed to be a meet the team event where they would be discussing alpha feedback, showing the latest developments, answering your questions, and you can guess, judging by these developers' faces, that it was not going good. And if you go over to the top chat replay, which I'm shocked this is still up, by the way, all of the comments are wrecking them. I watched this for several minutes and I could not even find a single positive comment. I mean, even the ones that could be maybe seen as positive are, an open beta would help this game a lot. It's not saying what's here is good. So you have tons of people saying this is a dead game, they're thieves, Mara thieves, art extraction shooter, art raiders, thief, of course, tons of plagiarism. The main art director was following her for years. Many members follow her. This sucks so much. There's just nothing here that you could take as being a shining ray of positivity. There's really nobody on their side, and I'm glad to see that there's nobody on their side, because plagiarism is not something that is easily overlooked, at least in my opinion. When you steal from an artist and you were going to make money from that artist's work, you deserve to get absolutely shamed in the public. Now, of course, I'm hoping they're going to actually give this person some money and compensation and maybe even a job long term. If I was an artist that Bungie had stolen from, though, I wouldn't want to work for them. But the issue with companies like Bungie is that Bungie's been accused of this 4 times since 2020. So basically one major plagiarism controversy a year, which is insane to think about. But they clearly have the mentality of it's okay to do it until we get caught. It's not a problem until we get caught, which is terrible. And I'm fucking glad that they got caught. Just steal more, why don't you? The chat is saying Arc Raiders is better than Art Raiders. They're just embarrassing themselves more and don't even care about what they have done. It is so tone deaf to have a developer event and then go into it and, of course, ignore the chat because they see it and not really talk about it. Like, of course, they addressed it very briefly to be like, hey, we know that this situation's happening, but that's not what we're here for, which is awful. And this guy looks exhausted. Now, I, on one hand, want to say I kind of feel bad for the developers who worked on this project that aren't affiliated with the art of the game, because this whole entire product now is going to be completely ripped apart. There's no way that this is going to come out and be successful, at least in my opinion. But on the flip side, this game looked bad even before the plagiarism accusations. I'm not just talking about the art. Again, I think some of the art in this looked okay. It looked like it was a good basis for a game, but it needed a lot more like color and pattern. It needed more unique designs. And those aside, the gameplay itself looked bad. There wasn't really a lot of recoil. We know that aim assist is something that they had to end up taking out because of so many criticisms. The maps didn't even look that good. So we're just talking about a bad game overall. So I can't really feel bad for them because they didn't even create something good in the first place. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on the marathon situation, but it doesn't really look like it's going to come out anytime soon. They're getting absolutely wrecked by millions and millions of gamers right now, and I can't feel all that bad for them because they're plagiarists. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.